Welcome back to my channel, Valuable Rare Coins. If you love discovering hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. First, we'll uncover some of the most valuable and rare US coins that could be worth a fortune. Let's dive in. The United States Washington quarter dollar coin from 1965, a coin with a rich history and incredible value. So sit back, grab your magnifying glass, and let's take a closer look at why this 1965 quarter is so highly sought after by collectors and investors alike. The Washington quarter, which has been in circulation since 1932, is one of the most iconic coins in American history. It features a profile of George Washington, the first president of the United States, on the obverse, while the reverse shows an eagle perched on a branch. This design has become synonymous with American currency. But today, we're not just talking about any Washington quarter, we're focusing on the 1965 version, a coin that holds special significance due to some key factors that set it apart from the rest. To understand the true value of the 1965 Washington quarter, we need to take a quick trip back in time to the mid-1960s. The United States was going through some significant changes, particularly in the world of currency. In 1965, the U.S. government made a major shift by removing silver from most circulating coins, including the quarter. Up until this point, quarters were made of 90% silver, but in 1965, the coin was switched to a copper-nickel composition. This move was largely due to a nationwide silver shortage, as the price of silver had been rising rapidly and the U.S. Treasury needed to maintain the availability of circulating currency. While the 1965 quarter is a symbol of this historic transition, what makes it so valuable in today's market is not just its connection to history, but the rarity of certain versions of the coin. You see, while most 1965 quarters were minted with a copper-nickel composition, there are some rare exceptions, special 1965 quarters that were mistakenly struck with silver. These silver-clad versions are among the most valuable coins in American history. The error was not caught by the U.S. Mint at the time, so these silver quarters slipped into circulation, and now they're worth a fortune. But how can you tell if your 1965 Washington quarter is one of the rare silver-clad coins? The most important thing to look for is the weight and sound of the coin. Regular copper-nickel quarters weigh about 5.67 grams, while the silver-clad quarters weigh slightly more at 6.25 grams. You can use a precise scale to measure the weight of your coin. Additionally, when you drop a silver coin, it produces a distinct sound compared to a regular copper-nickel coin. If your 1965 quarter matches the silver specifications, congratulations, you may have one of the rarest coins in American numismatics. Another factor that plays into the value of the 1965 Washington quarter is its condition. Like all collectible coins, the better the condition, the higher the value. Coins that are well preserved, with sharp details and no significant wear, can fetch significantly more than coins that have been heavily circulated. Collectors look for coins with minimal scratches, discoloration, or damage, and if you happen to have a pristine 1965 silver-clad quarter, you're sitting on a potential gold mine. In addition to the silver-clad era coins, another type of 1965 Washington quarter that can be valuable is the proof version. Proof coins are specially made for collectors and have a mirror-like finish. While proof coins are generally more common than error coins, a well-preserved 1965 proof quarter could still be worth a significant amount due to its rarity and desirability among numismatists. Now, let's get to the moment you've been waiting for: the value of this iconic coin. As we've already mentioned, a regular 1965 Washington quarter with the copper-nickel composition is worth very little in terms of face value. However, if you happen to have one of the rare silver-clad era coins, you could be sitting on a true treasure. Depending on its condition, these coins can sell for $150,000. Yes, you heard that right. $150,000 for a single 1965 Washington quarter. This makes it one of the highest-priced quarters in American numismatics. Whether it's the silver-clad era coin or an exceptionally well-preserved proof coin, The 1965 Washington Quarter is truly a hidden gem. So, how do you go about selling or appraising your 1965 quarter? First, get your coin professionally graded by a reputable grading service. Grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can evaluate your coin's condition and give you an accurate estimate of its market value. Once graded, you can take your coin to a coin dealer or auction house that specializes in rare coins. These places will be able to help you get the best price for your 1965 Washington Quarter. If you happen to find one of these rare silver-clad coins, you've got a real treasure on your hands. But even if you don't, the 1965 Washington Quarter is still an important part of U.S. history, and owning one is a great addition to any coin collection. Who knows, you could stumble upon a rare coin in your pocket change, or perhaps in a collection that's been sitting in your family for years. The possibilities are endless. Second rare coin, we're talking about the 1970 Washington Quarter. If you've ever wondered if your collection of quarters might be worth something special, this could be the one that surprises you. Stay tuned as we explore the fascinating history, unique characteristics, and the incredible value of this coin. To start, let's take a quick look at the Washington Quarter itself. The Washington Quarter has been a staple of U.S. currency since 1932. Designed by John Flanagan, it features a profile of George Washington on the obverse, and the reverse shows an eagle in flight, perched on a branch. The design is simple yet powerful, symbolizing American pride and independence. Over the decades, the Washington Quarter has undergone subtle changes, but one thing has remained constant: the coin's ability to captivate collectors and enthusiasts. Now, when it comes to the 1970 Washington Quarter, we need to go a little deeper into its history and what makes it unique. In 1970, the U.S. Mint was still producing quarters with a copper-nickel composition. The quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark on the coin's reverse. However, 1970 wasn't just any ordinary year for coin production. This was a transitional period in U.S. coinage, and the quarter from this year has become a particular subject of interest for collectors. Thanks to a few key factors. One of the primary reasons the 1970 Washington Quarter has become so valuable is its rarity and unique characteristics. While quarters from this era were produced in large quantities, there are certain versions of the 1970 that stand out. Specifically, the 1970 quarter is known for its potential doubling errors, a minting flaw that can occur when the die used to strike the coins is not properly aligned. This doubling can cause the coin to appear as though it has a shadowed, blurred image of the design. The most notable feature of this error is on the D mint mark, which can appear doubled or distorted, giving the coin a distinctive look that sets it apart from other quarters. Another important aspect of the 1970 Washington Quarter is its overall condition. Like all collectible coins, the value of the quarter increases significantly based on its grade. Coins in near mint or mint condition are highly sought after, especially if they've been preserved in protective packaging. A quarter that has been well preserved with little to no signs of wear will fetch much more than one that has been heavily circulated. So, if you come across a 1970 quarter with sharp details, no scratches, and a well-defined image, you've got a real treasure on your hands. It's not just about the error coins, though. Even a regular, well-preserved 1970 quarter can be worth much more than its face value. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins from certain years and mints, and the 1970 quarter has become an iconic example. Over time, the value of these quarters has continued to increase, making them a hot commodity in the numismatic market. If you're wondering how to determine if your 1970 quarter might be a valuable one, there are a few things to look for. First, inspect the mint mark closely. If you notice any unusual doubling or distortion in the D, you may have one of the rare error coins that's worth much more. Second, check the overall condition of the coin. A coin that's in mint state, with no wear on the design or any signs of damage, is going to be worth far more than a heavily circulated coin. Lastly, get it professionally graded. If you think your 1970D quarter has some unique qualities, having it evaluated by a trusted grading service will help you determine its true value. So, how much is this iconic quarter actually worth? The value of the 1970D Washington quarter depends largely on its rarity and condition. While regular quarters from this year are still worth just a few dollars, a well-preserved or error-struck coin can be worth a staggering $120,000. Yes, that's right, $120,000 for a single 1970D quarter if it's in mint condition or features a significant error. Imagine stumbling upon one of these in your collection or even in your change. The key takeaway here is that rarity, condition, and unique errors are the factors that can make or break the value of a coin. With a little knowledge and a bit of luck, you could discover that one of your seemingly ordinary coins is actually a hidden gem. If you do find a 1970D quarter with a doubled mint mark or in pristine condition, you could be holding onto a piece of history and a small fortune. Now that you know the value of the 1970D Washington quarter, it's time to take a closer look at your own collection. Check your quarters, and if you have any from 1970, take the time to inspect them for mint mark errors, unusual characteristics, and overall condition. You never know, your next coin might be worth much more than you ever imagined. Third expensive coin, we're diving into the world of the 1973 Washington quarter, a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance, but could be worth a small fortune. In this video, we'll explore the history of the coin, what makes it so special, and just how much it could be worth today. So grab your magnifying glass, because you might just have a rare gem in your collection. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. currency for decades. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter features a portrait of George Washington on the obverse, and the reverse depicts an eagle perched on a branch. For years, the Washington quarter has represented American values, strength, and freedom. But there's something special about the 1973 version, and it all starts with the unique circumstances surrounding its minting. In 1973, the U.S. Mint was in the midst of a major transition in coin production. As the country was recovering from the effects of the 1960s and early 70s economic shifts, the Washington quarter in 1973 was struck using a copper-nickel-clad composition, a material that was standard for quarters after the silver content was reduced in 1965. However, it's not the material that makes the 1973 Washington quarter so interesting. It's the errors and condition that can make these coins incredibly valuable. One of the key reasons why the 1973 Washington quarter is highly sought after by collectors is due to varieties in the minting process. Over the years, some quarters from this era have been discovered with subtle but significant errors, such as double die errors or misstrikes. These types of errors are incredibly rare, and finding one in a collection can make a coin far more valuable than its typical face value. Double die errors, for example, occur when a coin is struck more than once, resulting in a faint shadow of the design appearing alongside the original, creating a distorted or doubled effect. These coins are especially prized by collectors who are on the lookout for unique variations that add an extra layer of history to their collection. Another important factor to consider when evaluating the 1973 Washington quarter is its condition. Like all collectible coins, the better the condition, the more valuable it is. Quarters that have been well preserved and show no signs of wear or damage are far more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. If you happen to come across a 1973 Washington quarter that is uncirculated or in mint condition, you've got something special on your hands. Coins in this pristine state can fetch a premium price, simply because collectors are always on the lookout for coins that have been well protected and are as close to their original form as possible. When it comes to the 1973 Washington quarter, the rarity of the coin and its condition can make all the difference in its value. A regular, circulated coin may only be worth its face value, but if you find a coin with a rare error or exceptional condition, you could be sitting on a small treasure. But just how much could a 1973 Washington quarter be worth? Well, if you happen to have one of these coins in exceptional condition, or better yet, one with a minting error, the value could skyrocket. In fact, a 1973 Washington quarter that meets these criteria can be worth $100,000. Yes, $100,000. Imagine finding such a coin in your collection or even in your change. It's incredible to think that something as seemingly simple as a quarter can hold such immense value. Now, you might be wondering how to tell if your 1973 Washington quarter is worth that much. Start by inspecting the mint mark. It will be located on the reverse side of the coin, just beneath the eagle, and will have a D or S if the coin was minted in Denver or San Francisco, respectively. However, the most important thing to check for is any unusual minting errors or signs of damage. If the coin has a noticeable doubling effect on the design, especially the numbers or letters, you may have discovered a rare and valuable error coin. Additionally, if your coin is in excellent, near-perfect condition with no wear on the edges or design, it's definitely worth getting it appraised by a professional. If you're unsure about the condition of your coin, consider sending it to a certified grading service. These professionals can give you an accurate assessment of its grade, and if it's high enough, it could fetch a substantial amount at auction. In summary, the 1973 Washington quarter may look like just another coin, but its potential value is far more than meets the eye. Whether it's the rarity of an error coin or the condition that sets it apart, this coin has become a prized possession for collectors. And the value? Well, if you're lucky enough to have one of these coins in excellent condition or with a minting error, it could be worth a stunning $100,000. Especially, we're diving into the fascinating world of the 1979 Washington quarter-dollar coin, a piece of American history that, despite its modest appearance, could hold far more value than you might think. If you're new to coin collecting or a seasoned expert, stick with us as we explore the background, rarity, and potential worth of this iconic coin. Now, let's rewind to 1979. It was a year of significant change in America, both politically and economically. President Jimmy Carter was in office, and the country was dealing with the effects of inflation and the energy crisis. However, for the U.S. Mint, 1979 was also the year when the Washington quarter was still at the forefront of U.S. currency. It's been the standard design since 1932, created by artist John Flanagan to honor the first president of the United States, George Washington. The 1979 Washington quarter, like its predecessors, features George Washington's profile on the obverse, along with the inscription Liberty, the year of minting, and In God We Trust. On the reverse side, we see the familiar eagle, symbolizing strength and freedom, clutching an olive branch and arrows, with United States of America and E Pluribus Unum engraved on the coin. It's a classic design that has remained relatively unchanged for decades, but what makes the 1979 Washington quarter stand out, and why is it worth so much today? As with any collectible coin, the primary factors influencing its value are rarity, condition, and any unique variations it may have. The 1979 Washington quarter was minted in large numbers. About 850 million coins were produced that year across all the U.S. mint facilities. However, despite the high mintage, certain examples of the 1979 quarter have become rare and valuable due to subtle characteristics that make them stand out from the crowd. One key factor that contributes to the value of the 1979 Washington quarter is the minting errors that occurred during production. Errors in coins, whether they are from misstrikes or doubling issues, are highly coveted by collectors. A well-known error from this time is the double die variety. If you're unfamiliar with the term, a double die error occurs when the design is stamped onto the coin more than once, causing a noticeable doubling effect on the details, such as the lettering or date. These errors can significantly increase a coin's value because they are rare and can't be replicated. Another factor that plays a crucial role in determining the value of this coin is the condition it's in. While most 1979 Washington quarters were heavily circulated and are now worn down from years of handling, finding one in excellent or uncirculated condition can make all the difference in its value. Coins that show minimal wear on the design and edges are much more valuable than those that are heavily scratched, tarnished, or worn down. Collectors are always on the lookout for coins in mint state or near mint state, as these coins have maintained their original quality over time. The better the condition of the coin, the higher its market value. So, if you happen to have a 1979 Washington quarter tucked away in your collection that looks as though it's been barely touched, it could be worth a lot more than just 25 cents. What's even more exciting about the 1979 Washington quarter is the rarity of certain varieties. For example, the quarters minted at the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S mint mark, are often highly sought after, especially those that have been carefully preserved. On top of that, there have been reports of silver errors where coins that were meant to be clad were accidentally struck with silver planchets. If you happen to have a 1979 Washington quarter with a silver content, this coin can fetch a higher price due to its scarcity. So, how much could a 1979 Washington quarter be worth today? The truth is, it all depends on the condition of the coin and whether it has any minting errors or rare characteristics. A well-preserved 1979 Washington quarter without errors may be worth around several dollars, but if you have one with a rare double die error, or if it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, it can command a much higher price. Some of these rare 1979 Washington quarters have been known to sell for up to $67,000. That's right, a single coin from 1979 could potentially be worth $67,000, depending on its condition and unique characteristics. Now that we've covered the value and rarity of this coin, let's talk about how you can tell if your 1979 Washington quarter is one of the highly valuable varieties. First, take a close look at the date and inscription for any signs of doubling. If the letters or numbers appear blurry or stacked on top of each other, you might have found a doubled die error coin. You'll also want to carefully inspect the mint mark on the reverse side, right below the eagle. If it's a D or S, that will help identify where the coin was minted. Coins from specific mints or with minting errors are far more valuable than standard issues. Additionally, you should assess the overall condition of your coin. Does it show signs of wear? Is the design still clear and sharp? A coin in mint state, or with only slight wear, can make a world of difference when it comes to its value. If your coin looks like it just came off the press and hasn't been circulated, it's worth getting it appraised by a professional. In conclusion, the 1979 Washington quarter may seem like a simple piece of change at first glance, but it has the potential to be worth a small fortune, especially if it's a rare error coin or in excellent condition. The next time you're rummaging through your coin jar or checking your pocket change, take a closer look at any 1,979 quarters you find. If it's in great condition, or better yet, shows signs of a minting error, you could be holding onto a coin worth a lot more than just 25 cents. So, keep your eyes peeled, and who knows? You could be sitting on a rare find worth a whopping $67,000. Next coin, we're about to uncover something truly special in the world of coin collecting, the United States Washington quarter dollar coin from 1988. While most people might overlook this coin in their collections, the 1988 Washington quarter has some hidden secrets that could make it worth far more than you expect. So, stay tuned as we dive deep into the history, value, and reasons why this seemingly ordinary quarter could be worth a small fortune. Let's first take a step back to 1988. This was a year of significant cultural and political shifts in the United States. President Ronald Reagan was serving his second term in office, and the country was experiencing a period of economic growth after the recession of the early 1980s. The Washington quarter had been in circulation for decades by this time, ever since it was first minted in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. The coin's design, featuring Washington's profile on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, had become a staple of American currency. The 1988 Washington quarter was produced at the Denver Mint, marked with a D mint mark. This coin was part of the regular circulating series of quarters, But what sets it apart from others is its rarity in pristine condition and certain minting anomalies that can increase its value exponentially. Now, let's talk about what makes the 1988 Washington Quarter so intriguing to collectors. One of the key factors is the coin's condition. Most of the 1988 quarters that were circulated became worn down over time, losing their sharp details. However, collectors know that coins in excellent or mint condition are incredibly rare. If you happen to have a 1988 Washington quarter that's been carefully preserved, especially one that's never been in circulation or shows minimal wear, you could be holding a true gem. Coins in mint state condition are those that show little to no wear, with sharp details, vibrant luster, and clear features. The better the coin's condition, the more valuable it is. In fact, finding a 1988 Washington quarter in such remarkable condition can make it much more valuable than its face value. Some of these well-preserved coins are worth far more than just 25 cents. They are valuable pieces of history, but that's not all. Beyond just good condition, collectors also seek out the rare minting errors that sometimes occur during production. These errors can range from minor flaws, such as off-center strikes, to major ones like double die errors, where the design appears doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process. These types of errors can significantly increase a coin's desirability and value, as they are unique, one-of-a-kind finds. If you come across a 1988 Washington quarter with one of these minting errors, it could be worth much more than the standard issue. Another factor that influences the value of the 1988 Washington quarter is its scarcity. While the total mintage of 1988 quarters was over 500 million coins, only a small percentage were kept in pristine, uncirculated condition. Even fewer might have rare minting errors or other unique characteristics. The scarcity of these coins in top-tier condition is what drives their market value higher. As we get closer to the big reveal, let's explore what makes this particular quarter so desirable. For collectors, the 1988 Washington quarter is more than just a coin. It's a potential investment. If you're lucky enough to have a 1988 quarter in uncirculated condition or one with a rare minting error, it could be worth significantly more than a typical quarter. In fact, some of these coins have been sold at auctions for impressive amounts. What's the potential value of the 1988 Washington quarter? Well, for those fortunate enough to own one in mint state or with a rare error, the price could skyrocket. These coins have been known to fetch prices as high as $70,000. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1988 Washington quarter could be worth $70,000, depending on its condition and rarity. If you happen to find one of these rare gems in your collection or come across it while sorting through change, make sure to give it a close look. Pay attention to the condition, any signs of doubling or unusual minting errors. If it checks all the right boxes, you could be sitting on a gold mine. In conclusion, the 1988 Washington quarter is a fantastic example of how certain coins can increase in value over time. With its historical significance, the potential for minting errors, and the importance of its condition, this seemingly ordinary coin is anything but. Whether you're a seasoned coin collector or just starting out, keep an eye out for this particular quarter. If you're lucky enough to own one in pristine condition, or if you come across a rare error variety, you could be holding a coin worth a small fortune. A 1988 Washington quarter in exceptional condition or with a unique error could be valued at an astonishing $70,000. Now, we're going to dive deep into one of the most intriguing coins in the history of U.S. currency, the 1991 Washington quarter dollar coin minted in Denver, marked with the D mint mark. This unassuming coin, which most people might toss into their pocket change, actually holds a secret that could make it worth far more than you ever imagined. Let's rewind to 1991. This was a pivotal time in American history. The Cold War was coming to an end, the economy was recovering from the early 90s recession, and George H.W. Bush was still in office as president. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was busy producing millions of coins to keep up with the growing demand for currency in a rapidly changing world. The Washington quarter, of course, had been in circulation for decades by this point. First introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday, the quarter had gone through various design changes over the years, but by 1991, it still featured the iconic profile of George Washington on the obverse and a majestic eagle on the reverse. But what makes the 1991 D Mintmark Washington quarter so special? Well, it all boils down to a few key factors: rarity, condition, and, of course, the possibility of minting errors. The first thing you should know about this coin is that while millions of 1991 Washington quarters were produced, many of them were spent and circulated for decades. Most of the coins you'll come across will show signs of wear, scratches, dents, and fading designs. But what makes this particular coin valuable is its condition. In the world of coin collecting, condition is king. Coins that have been carefully stored, untouched by circulation, and remain in mint or near mint condition are highly sought after by collectors. These coins are incredibly rare, and that rarity is what drives their price up. Now, let's talk about the minting process. The 1991 Denver minted Washington quarter went through the same general process as other coins, but occasionally, minting errors occur. Some of these errors are minor, while others can be major enough to significantly increase a coin's value. For example, if a coin has a double die error where the design appears to be stamped twice, it becomes a rare and valuable find. Even minor errors like off-center strikes or other inconsistencies in the design can make this coin a hot item for collectors. Another reason collectors gravitate toward the 1991 D Washington quarter is the mintage. In 1991, the U.S. Mint produced a large number of quarters to meet the demands of everyday transactions. However, many of those coins have long since left circulation or deteriorated over time. When you find one in exceptional condition, it stands out as a rare piece of history. Given that most of the coins you'll find are worn or damaged, one in pristine condition is a true treasure. So, what's the real value of the 1991 Washington quarter? Well, if you've managed to keep one in uncirculated condition, or even better, you have one with a minting error, you could be sitting on something quite valuable. The prices for these rare coins can fluctuate based on the market, but collectors have been known to pay a significant premium for quarters that are in excellent condition. In fact, the most impressive 1991 Washington quarter, one that's in mint condition or has a rare minting error, could be worth as much as $50,000. That's right, a single quarter, which you might have casually tossed into your pocket or left in a drawer, could be worth $50,000, depending on its condition and any unique characteristics it may have. So, if you have a 1991 D Washington quarter, take a moment to check its condition. Does it look like it was just minted yesterday? Are there any noticeable minting errors or unusual characteristics? If so, you could be holding a coin that's worth far more than its face value. If you happen to come across one of these rare coins, whether in your collection or in your spare change, it could very well be the find of a lifetime. As we wrap up today's video, remember that coin collecting isn't just about the joy of finding rare treasures. It's also about preserving pieces of history. Whether you're just starting out or you've been collecting for years, there's always something exciting to discover in the world of coins. Last unique coin, we're exploring a coin that might just surprise you with its worth: the 1995 Washington quarter dollar coin, minted in Philadelphia, marked with the P Mint mark. Now, if you think this quarter is just another ordinary piece of change, think again. This particular coin has a fascinating history and holds significant value in the world of numismatics. Let's first take a look at the year 1995. In the world of U.S. currency, 1995 was not only a year marked by pop culture milestones like the release of Toy Story and Braveheart, but also by the ongoing efforts of the U.S. Mint to keep up with the demands of circulating coins. The Washington quarter had been in circulation since 1932, honoring George Washington, and by 1995, it had already seen numerous design changes, with the classic portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the eagle on the reverse. In 1995, the Mint issued a substantial amount of Washington quarters, and like most years, They were produced in large quantities. However, what sets the 1995 Philadelphia Mint coin apart is the rare combination of its production run and the special qualities that certain pieces from that year possess. It's not just about the design and the year, it's about the subtle details that can turn an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after collector's item. When it comes to coin collecting, there are two main things collectors are looking for: rarity and condition. While millions of 1995 quarters were produced, the real value comes from finding one in mint condition, meaning one that hasn't been in circulation and has avoided the wear and tear that coins often experience from years of handling. The key to the worth of the 1995 Philadelphia Washington quarter lies in the condition. Most of these coins were used in day-to-day transactions, and over time, they've been worn down, scratched, and tarnished. However, a coin that has been carefully preserved and kept in pristine condition, unblemished by years of circulation, can be a rare find, making it extremely valuable to collectors. These coins are often referred to as uncirculated, and finding a 1995 quarter in this state is like finding a needle in a haystack. But what about the minting errors? Mint errors are a big deal in the coin world, and they can drastically increase the value of a coin. For example, if a coin was struck multiple times, or the design was misaligned, it could have an error that collectors would jump at the chance to own. These types of errors are relatively rare, but if you happen to find a 1995 Philadelphia Washington quarter with a minting mistake, you could be in for a big payoff. As with all coins, the rarity of an item is what drives its market price. A standard 1995 Washington quarter may not be worth much, typically just a few cents above its face value. But a coin in perfect, uncirculated condition, or one with a minting error, can fetch much higher prices. While the market fluctuates, high-quality 1995 quarters have been known to fetch impressive sums at auctions or private sales. And here's the exciting part: are you ready for the big reveal? If you've managed to get your hands on a 1995 Philadelphia Washington quarter in excellent condition, or perhaps one with a unique minting error, you could be looking at a staggering $40,000. Yes, you heard that right. $40,000 for a single quarter. That's far more than just pocket change, and it could make for an incredible addition to your coin collection. So, if you've got a collection of old coins lying around, or you happen to come across a 1995 Washington quarter, take a moment to examine it carefully. Check for any signs of wear and tear, but also look for any distinguishing features like potential minting errors or that pristine, uncirculated quality that could make it a true collector's item. To wrap things up, coin collecting is a thrilling and rewarding hobby that connects us to history in a very tangible way. Whether you're looking for that rare coin with a special minting flaw or simply trying to preserve coins in the best condition possible, the value of your collection can grow over time, sometimes in ways you never expected. Thanks for joining us on this journey to uncover the hidden treasures of the 1995 Washington quarter. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss out on our latest discoveries. Who knows what valuable coin is waiting for you to find next? Remember, your next coin could be worth $40,000, so keep hunting and happy collecting.